Here's 5 ways to draw stars or sparkles. One of the main ways people start out usually is doing the 5-point star, but I don't think that this is very aesthetically pleasing. And I'm sure you've all seen the 4-point star, but it's kind of confusing how to get started drawing it if you've never drawn it before. First variation of a 4-point star is going to begin with creating equal parts by creating a long line going up and down, and then another long line equal parts going horizontally, and then you're going to create an X. All of these lines will be perpendicular with each other. This is the framework of your star and how you're going to easily create each star and make sure that they are all equal. I find it really helpful to create a box connecting the X. I'd like to think of this as a graph almost. Be mindful that all of your lines are going to intersect in the center of this square, and that the box consists of 4 different squares that are all of equal size and shape. It's also a good idea to start out with a pencil no matter what you're going to end up drawing with later, if it's a pen, a marker, Sharpie, whatever. So let's map out the 4 points. So it's a good idea to just jump right in and start with one of the angles, and we're going to create a swooping angle. One of the reasons that this square is so useful is because we can now see how each line is equal and symmetrical with each other. And it's okay if the top part and the bottom part is not completely symmetrical, but either the 2 top squares need to be completely symmetrical, or the 2 bottom squares do, or the 2 right or the 2 left do. Once the center is drawn out, you want to begin creating the longer parts of the star. In my opinion, it looks best when you start thicker from the inside and taper your way outside. When you're satisfied with the shape of the star, you can begin using a pen, a marker, or whatever you choose to draw it in. I'm going to use a blue Bic pen so that you can see what I'm doing a lot easier. And the reason I say it's a good idea to start with a pencil first is so you can map out the star, and if you accidentally mess up, you don't have to worry about, oh no, I have to, completely throw this paper away. You can just erase it, and then you can go in and make your permanent lines. Now you can erase all the pencil markings and you'll have a clean looking star. For the second star, we're going to do a 6-point star that's also hollow in the center like the first one. We'll begin by creating the same graph by creating 1 long vertical line, 1 long horizontal line, and an X shape in the center. We'll also be sure to do the exact same box, making sure each of the 4 corners are the exact same size and shape of squares. Making sure that all of the lines are, again, perpendicular to each other, parallel to each other, and all intersecting to the center. For this star, we're going to start by creating a small point on the outside and going inward. I'm starting by creating a little bit of a thinner line where the X mark is, and then I'm going to create a longer line where the vertical and horizontal line is. So basically what this is 2 of the first stars vertical and then 1 turned at a 30-degree angle. After our pencil drawing is done and you're satisfied with the shape, we're going to begin to use our marker or pen to outline the actual star, making sure not to cross over any of these little points. So basically we're just following the pencil line and creating points that will intersect in a U or a V shape in the center. When you've completed your outline, you can begin to erase all of the pencil marks. You can do anything to these stars to make them your own. Personally, I wanted to thicken the center of the star a little bit more just to create more of a tapering effect for the outside. The third star is going to be another 6-point variation, and just like the last 2, we're going to start with the cross of a long vertical line, a long side horizontal line, and then an X-shaped square. One of my favorite things to do with these type of stars is to create a little dot in the center. These kind of stars can be really good for any kind of lettering you're doing, if you want to create just a cute little detail, like if you have an I in your name, like my name is Ariel, so if I want to make a very cute drawing of my name, I'll do the dotted I, but I'll create a star with it. So that's just an idea of what you could do with this. But basically what we're going to start out doing is creating your small part on the very outside to taper out. And then what's different is that you're going to create a little bit of a thicker line on the more towards the center, but this is not going to be all the way dark. We're actually going to fade it in. And what we're going to do also is make the vertical and horizontal line the longest lines. And then the X-shaped part is going to be the shorter lines. Once you have this general shape, now you can begin to create a more permanent outline. Now the trick to this is to create the darkest part and the thinnest part on the very outside edges. And then you'll begin to blend to the center, making the center the lightest part. And you don't want to create any shading on the very middle. This is going to give an illusion of the center being the brightest part and shining outward. And then for the last part of this, you're going to do a little circle right in the center. And when you're satisfied with the shape and you feel like it's complete, you can erase everything and you'll have your completed 6-point star. For the 4th star, we're going to do a variation of a 4-point star and the last 6-point star that we just did. Now you can do this one with 6 points as well, but I'm just showing you what it would look like with 4 points. Now with this one, I don't think it's necessary to do all of the lines with the vertical, the horizontal, and the X shape, but you can, especially if you're a beginner, because it really helps you make sure that everything is equal. I'm just going to use the 4 lines, and then I'm going to start by doing the same technique we did with the last star by creating the darkest part and the slimmest part on the very outside edges and then fading it into nothing to the center. These are one of my favorite stars to do, this one and the last one actually, for tattoos specifically. I think that they just heal very well and you see them a lot in the type of tattoos that I do. These are really easy to do. You get them down with pretty much no effort, and they always look really good. Don't forget to erase all the pencil markings so you can have a clean looking star. For the 5th and final star, this is going to be a 6-point star, but we're going to fill it in, and it's going to be a little bit different of a shape than the 2nd star that was also a 6-point star. We're going to begin by doing a straight vertical line, a straight horizontal line, and then doing the X shape and creating a box. Sometimes it's easier to start with the box and creating all of those parallel lines and then creating your X shape and making sure that everything meets in the center. What's a little bit different about this one as well is that we're going to create a circle like we did in the 3rd star, but this is going to be a lot larger of a circle because this is going to be kind of where we make a base. And then after we're done with the square shape and our base, we're going to create a taper, making the very outside edges very slim and then fanning it out towards the center where the circle is. It's up to you whether or not you want to make the circle larger or smaller. Sometimes it looks better when it's larger so that way you can kind of see the circle more, but it's really up to you. And I also want to make sure that after we're done doing the vertical and horizontal shape, we're going to do the X shape, but the X shape is going to be super slim, pretty much no taper. It's just going to be 4 very slim straight lines. After you're done with the shape of the star and you feel like you're finished, you can begin to use your pen or marker or whatever you're using to make it more permanent, and you're going to begin to create your taper just like you did with the other stars. And what's different about this one is that you're going to fill it all the way in. Final step is obviously to erase all of the pencil marks so you can have your clean star. So now that you've learned how to draw 5 different stars, you may ask yourself, how do I actually put these into my drawings? There's many ways to add stars to your drawings, but a good rule is the rule of 3. Basically what this is just adding 3 different stars in a cluster. This is more satisfying and aesthetic to our minds for some reason. And you can even really look at this more of like odds are more aesthetically pleasing to our eye than evens are. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases with art, it is. If you just look at things, you'll notice in a lot of art, there are odd numbers. And the more you practice these, the better you'll get. So you might be like me and rush and just completely skip the whole vertical, horizontal, and X-shaped box and just jump right into it. And you can, but you might make a little bit of mistakes, but that's okay because these stars are very easy to really just fix, and you can make it fix by just adding some thickness to the lines or adding more little lines, basically just finessing whatever you gotta do. Now, while you can do 3 of the exact same stars, sometimes it looks really cool if you combine 2 or more of them. I'll use the 3rd variation, the 5th variation, and the 4th variation in this. And another tip to think is one needs to be the largest, one needs to be a medium size between the largest, and then the smallest size. It looks really nice when they're not all the exact same size, but these rules are not real, so you can really do whatever you want. This is just what I think looks best. I hope you liked this video, and if it helped you, like and subscribe.